Someone tell me what this is. I already heard it. What is it? Stop myself. It's a baton. Good job. Go ahead and put it up. So I couldn't find a real one. So, my youth minister thinking, paper towel, put some fancy duct tape, make it look American-ish. But speaking of, no, I don't want to bore you. So we got this baton. Today we're going to talk about the baton, how important it is that in a race you carry the baton and you pass it off successfully. So today we're going to talk about good baton passes. And that's going to be the topic today, which will be exciting. I'm going to share some stories, going to share some points. We're even going to open up the Bible. It's crazy, I know. We're going to open up the Bible and read from God's Word how we can apply a race to our life, to passing the baton. But first, I know some of you like the Olympics. I'm going to bring it all the way back. Can you tell me who this person is? This is an old person. Michael Phelps. Last night he won his 23rd gold. Apparently that's cool, I guess. I saw this photo where he's 6'4", and they stacked his golds on top of each other. And it ended up being like 7, 8? Did anyone else see that photo? Just me on? Cool. But his gold stacked up were taller than him. Michael Phelps. What about this next person? You guys seen this guy? He's kind of fast, kind of a big deal. I mean, I could whoop him in a race, but that's just, I save him and his country embarrassment. That's why I don't run in the Olympics. But the Olympics are exciting. They're an awesome opportunity. And actually, my favorite part just started. The track and field, I think it started like Friday morning, I think is when it started. Don't quote me on that part. You can quote me later on, but not this part. And it's exciting because I love the relay races. And like in 2008, when they went to Beijing for the Olympics, Michael Phelps, Usain Bolt, killed. They dominated, like 8 golds each. And it was an exciting time. But I'm going to tell you about a relay race that was the third most important story of the 2008 Beijing Olympics. And it's this right here. The 4x100 meter relay. It's when you get one lap and you get 4 people, you all run 100 meters. And you pass the baton. But here's the thing. The men's and women's, for the first time ever in the modern Olympics, didn't make the finals. Do you know why they didn't make the finals? Both dropped the baton. Both had the world records. Both had the fastest qualifying times. Both were crushing. They were killing the other teams because they were so fast. But yet they didn't make the finals because in the semifinals, they dropped the baton and they didn't get gold. They were the favorites. I've also heard things like there was a lot of money bet on the gold in Vegas. A lot that the U.S. was going to bring it. A lot of people were mad because the chances were so good, the odds were in so much of their favor, but yet they dropped the baton. And they didn't make it. Now you're asking, Trey, what does this have to do with anything? Now, because we're going to talk about this. This race is important. This race in life, there's 3 simple truths that we're going to explore in 2 Timothy 2, 1 and 2. If you want to open the Bible, you can, or your iPad, or your iPhone, or your Android, even those. I guess those things work well. I'm not a big fan. I'm more of an Apple person. But you can open those up, 2 Timothy 2, 1 and 2. That's where we're going to be. But we're going to talk about this baton, the passing of the baton, and how important it is in not just life, but also a meet. We're in a race. And pretty soon you're going to realize that you have the baton in your hand, and it's about time for you to pass it. But guess what? How'd you get it? It was given to you first. So now that's what we're going to be studying today. And as today is a new day, obviously. That's not where I was going. Today is a day where we celebrate Youth Sunday. The 31st of July, we were gone, mission trip, so we decided to do it today. Today's also the day where the 5th graders moved up to 6th grade, and now they're going to be joining the high school, the junior high and high school, so that's exciting. Kids from kindergarten, preschool moving up to kindergarten. I'm not good with numbers like that, but today is a day that people are getting promoted, and it's a great praise, but also it's a sense of empowerment. College people are getting ready to leave. It's exciting. I was ready to get out of the house, but I missed it. You'll miss it too. Y'all will. But it's a sense of empowerment. It's time that the parents hand the child their baton and say, listen, it's your turn. It's time to go. You got your shoes on. I taught you how to work. It's time to go to work. And that's what we're going to find out here in 2 Timothy. Paul, he's in prison. Okay, it's the second time. It's about like 65 to 68 AD. And 2 Timothy is suggested to be the last book that Paul wrote. So who's he write it to? He writes it to this little guy. Okay, he's maybe not that little. He's like 15 to 18. People argue. That's bound to happen. Timothy, like his little understudy. Paul's in prison. He knows his time is coming. He knows it. Time is coming. Everyone's left him in prison. He's by himself. He has no one there. So he has a lot of time on his hands. So he writes. So he's writing to Timothy. And basically this book has been attributed to his deathbed wishes or his dying words, okay? And in this he says, listen, you're in the race. You're going to have to get up and go. My time's done. I'm handing you the baton. It's your turn to go. And Timothy's kind of young, and he's kind of worried about it. He's a little anxious, a little nervous. Paul's like, listen, I have faith in you. You will do great. Because God, you were there when God worked through me. God will work through you. And now what we're going to do is we're going to jump into this text, 2 Timothy 2, 1 and 2. I'm going to be reading out a New Living Translation today, like the wording, and it fits well. And so follow along on the screen. Timothy, my dear son, be strong through the grace that God gives you in Christ Jesus. You have heard me teach things that have been confirmed by many reliable witnesses. Now teach these truths to other trustworthy people who will be able to pass them on to others. Just 2 verses today. We're going to break it down to 3 simple truths that I found that involves a race. Paul loved using race analogies. He used them in Philippians, and I think he's using it here. In the first one, Paul starts with the baton, and he says this. He says, you have heard me teach things. So Paul knows he has the baton, and he's ready. He's already accepted it, what Christ did to him, changing from Saul to Paul, from killing and going after Stephen, giving the nod, saying, go ahead, and strike him down, to eventually being blinded and his life being changed. And that's when he accepted the baton. And that's when the race began for him. So he starts with it, and then he hands it off, and he hands it right off to Timothy, and in the verse it says this. Now teach these truths to other trustworthy people. Paul, he hands it off. He says, listen, boom, it's your turn. You have heard me teach these things. Hand off. Now you, Timothy, go teach these truths to other trustworthy people. Now, if you know, a relay race, there's 4. Now, Timothy's about ready to hand off again. And he hands it off to trustworthy people. And it says this, who will be able to pass them on to others. Paul handed Timothy. Timothy hands it to us as trustworthy people, as Christians, as one who follow the one true God and believe what Jesus came and died for us. We have a job to do here on earth. It's our job when you accept Jesus to pass the baton, because you were given that baton. Because someone invested in your life, it's time to invest in others. That's what Paul did. He grabbed this little boy, Timothy, and he said, come on, you're coming with me. And I'm going to teach you what God has taught me. So now we have the baton, and guess what? The 4th person in this is others. It's time for us to pass the baton the way Paul did to Timothy and Timothy did to us through this, through the trustworthy people. We're the trustworthy people. We've seen the good news. Now, we're going to jump right in to this. Why did that 4x1 team in 08 not make the finals? Why did they not make it again? They dropped it. They had very bad handoffs. in life, things don't go smooth. I'm finding that out a lot. We have some bad handoffs. Now, in track, my track coach in high school said it's like an art, learning how to place it into a hand, or most of the time it's this way, or there's so many different ways. It's kind of annoying, actually, because they're like high, and you got to reach high, low. And your job is, while running behind, is to place it firmly. So all they do is squeeze 2 fingers, and then they could take off. It's weird. It's ridiculous. I think it's nonsense, but it has a purpose. There's an art to it. But here's the thing. As you're hooked, and I'm trying to book you right now, we're going to take a look at something real fast, and it's right here. Now, I'm going to read some rules. You're going to think this is weird, and it's okay, because I'm weird, and it's okay. I'm going to read some United States track and field rules that you're going to get to learn. If you didn't know them, you're about to learn them. And this first rule, and they're going to apply to our points. This first rule is this. Go ahead and hit it. It's rule number 25. It says, the baton shall be a smooth, hollow, circular tube made of wood, metal, and other rigged material in one piece. Its length shall be between 28 to 30 centimeters. Its circumference shall be 12 to 13. Cool. And it shall weigh not less than 50 grams. That's good. No material or substance may be applied to the baton. And Trey, why are we reading rules for track and field? We're not the Olympians. Some of us could be, though. Like, there's a hot dog eating contest. I would get about none, because hot dogs are disgusting. But it's fact. It's science. But it's going to bring us to our first thought. And here's the thought. Thought 1. It has to be the right baton. When we're in this race together, we're trying to hand off. We have to hand the right baton. Just like the United States track and field, they have rules. This would not pass. I'm sorry. It bends. An actual baton, if you had it, it's firm. You can dent it, trust me. If you hit it on like stuff, you can dent it. Take my word. But this would not pass. But that's not the point I'm trying to get. Because the baton is the gospel that we are given, that we get to share, the good news. We got to have the right stuff. We got to have the right knowledge. We got to be willing to learn, and here's the crazy thing, new things. I know it sounds ridiculous. But that's what God has called us to do, and as Christians, we're in this race, and we have the baton, so we're going to hand it off. Okay? Now check this out. The second thought is, it gets kind of tricky. And the second thought is, well, the rule number 2 is this. It says, each takeover zone shall be 20 meters long, of which the scratch line is the center. The zones shall start and finish at the edges of the zone lines, nearest the start line in the running direction. That's how I felt about reading that. Like, what does that teach me about running this race? Well, here's the thing. The space to pass the baton is limited. That's basically what this is saying. You only have a small space. Now, in track, when I ran track in high school, I was on this relay team. The only running event that I like to do, because I did like shot put, long jump, and triple jump, but then I did this terrible event called the 4x4. It's the last event of the day. It's always hot, depending on when you do it. Well, what you do is you get a tennis ball. I didn't have a tennis ball. I couldn't find one. So when I was looking around the office, I was like, all I saw was this, and I was like, oh. And then I pulled it, and I was like, okay. What you do is you get a tennis ball, you cut it in half, and you place it on the track. So this is what I'm going to do. This is my tennis ball. And this is what happens. I'm going to demonstrate. I don't know if you saw me place this. Okay. If I'm going to start my race in the 4x4, this is what I do. My start line is this podium. Does that make sense? Everyone following with me? This is where I'm going to be. I need a volunteer. Oh, come on up. Oh, yeah, right up. Come on, hurry, 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 hurry. I'm running. You said you're fast. All right. All right. So, what? You don't actually have to run. I don't want you to hurt yourself. Pull a hip. It's bad. Okay. So I'm going to be here ready for the race. He's running. He's coming at me. He can walk slowly. But I know once he hits that mark, it's time for me. You can keep coming. You can keep coming. It's time for me to take off. And I take off, and I only have like 2 here. I only have, but then eventually I'm going to reach back. He's going to play. Oh, that was a good firm. It's kind of like a handshake. Okay, redo it again. Hurry, hurry. So, in all reality is, I'm standing here waiting for the handoff, and I see him coming. He's running. He's getting slow, and he hits that mark, and I turn and go. Maybe. Just like that. The point is, when I see him hit his mark, it's time for me to go. But here's the thing. The space is limited. Now, if he does this, you just keep following me. So he's running, and I come down here. He hands me the baton. I'm disqualified. Good job, Trey. You're terrible. That's basically what just happened. Because I only have till here to receive the baton. If I step over anything, a toe, there's a judge watching my line. And if I step over, I'm disqualified. But I've seen people run, and they have to stop. And they're falling. This is them falling. They're falling, and they have to reach back because if they touch anything, they're disqualified. Because the space to pass the baton is limited. Now, for us, the space to pass the baton is limited, and in essence, we only have a certain amount of time to share the good news, the baton, with others. Take and make the most of every opportunity. Now check this out. Now, it's a fun, neat little analogy. I thought about making like a running video, but that would have to involve running, so I wasn't cool about that. Now, this is where I'm going to get yelled at. Just kidding. If you cross that line, it's over. It's over. You only have a certain amount of time. Now, parents, I'm going to talk to you a little bit. Then grandparents. Oh, grandparents, you're not getting off the hook. Just kidding. Parents, it's also about, I'm going to talk to you about time management and priorities. Because your space is limited with your children. You get to show them the way that Jesus has taught you. Be mindful of that. And kind of this, one thing I really noticed after graduation, the summer, now we're at the end of summer, one thing that I always say is, man, they grow up so fast. Anyone ever hear that before? At our baby shower, my mother was here, and there's this one question. She was talking to me after, and she was like, I just remember when Trey was this young boy with long hair. Yeah, I had really long hair, and I had ears pierced. I was a punk. I was 2. It was great. It's true. It's a story, but we don't have time. But there is a date coming when the students are going to leave. To make the most of all that you have, the opportunities, the time. Let them see that work in you. Now, I'm not just saying Jesus. I am saying Jesus. I'm not saying that students only have a short window to accept Jesus. I'm not saying that. They have their whole life. And they might even accept Jesus and come to know him better even after they leave the house and in their adulthood. And that's okay, because God has a plan for us, and he will work in us in that way. But when we have the baton, when you have the baton in your hands, make sure your space, your time is used well. And I know you guys do great jobs. I'm not here to say you're not. I'm coming alongside you. I want to partner with you. That's what youth ministry is about. Youth ministry partnering with the parents to help out in any way you can, except for babysitting. That's why we have lock-ins. And it was terrible. No, it was great. But what I'm saying is there's a window where you have this great opportunity and influence to impact not only your child, but other children as well. Now I'm going to read this last rule, rule number 12. It's ridiculous. I don't even understand it. The baton shall be carried by hand throughout the race. No, I'm going to carry it in my mouth. No. If dropped, it shall be recovered by the athlete who dropped it. I would probably drop it. It'll be okay. He or she may leave the assigned lane to retrieve the baton, provided no other runners is that impeded or impeded? Impeded? Okay. And provided that by doing so, the distance can be covered is not lessened. I swear I graduated high school. I swear. Impeded. It's impeded, I'm pretty sure. Webster told me it was impeded. this rule, batons drop. In '08, the 4x1 teams, they just didn't stop. Because the third point of today is a drop baton is not the end of the race. Sometimes we have these faults in life, these falters where we slip up, we fall down, we get bruised. All of these things because we dropped the baton. Not all handoffs are great. It's not going to happen. And when you drop the baton, does the race get hard? Yes. Very hard. In high school, we were in our conference meet versus this terrible town called Teotopolis, or some of you might have heard them as T-Town. They're a bunch of punks. I'm not going to lie. They are. The conference, National Trail Conference that I'm in, was all 1A schools, so little schools up to 254 students. Okay? And Altamont was like a 250 student school. So we were like one of the biggest 1As. Well, Teotopolis had like 350. They're a 2A school, kind of like Williamsville. It's like Williamsville versus Spalding in sports. It wasn't even fair. We're in this relay, 4x4. It's the last race of the entire meet. We need to win the meet. If T-Town wins, they win the meet. So it was terrible, and it was a race that I was involved in. I was not looking forward to this at all. Our 4x4 team, we were all right. We're pretty good. Not the best, obviously, but we're all right. So we're going. The first leg, this guy by the name of Chuck Spence takes off, blazing for about the first. He didn't understand the concept of running and pacing. So he would run 200 meters, be smoking people, half a lap, be smoking people, and then he would be run out of gas coming down the back 200. It was hilarious. But he always gave us we were always in contending. Okay, second comes up by my friend named Hayden Winters. He takes off. Hayden's about a 6'4" kid, and he just takes long strides. And Hayden was catching up. He was gaining ground. And then I was third leg, and my friend Joe Mayhouse was last. And I used to see Hayden catching people. I'm like, oh, dang. Because guess who gets the baton next? I don't want this. Coach, tap out. Get someone else in here. I don't want this. And so he's going, and Hayden's catching up, and he's probably about, I don't know, me to the wall away from the T-Town guy. When he hits his mark, and I see him, I'm like, oh, dear, here we go. I take off. You know that feeling like your stomach, like you're going to throw up? Felt like that every time for some reason. Only on the 4x4. It was terrible. I don't know why I did it. It was misery. I saw him, so I reach back, and I take off, and Tot likes to make fun of me how I run, because apparently, like your legs go like normal people, apparently, run like this, or like your foot. You get what I'm trying to say? Well, apparently, my feet do this, and it's kind of, I don't think it's true, but it is, because I ran in sand and tested it. It goes boom, 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 boom. I can just keep doing it. Apparently, I run in a straight line. I tested it in the sand. It has to be true. Sand don't lie. So I'm running, but also here's the funny part. Apparently, I take long strides. I don't believe in this like mini step thing, because I just want to take the less amount of strides to get to my point A to point B. Apparently, I like gallop. I've heard some people say, but it doesn't matter because I get one place to the other. And I'm not smooth at it by any means, but I get there, so I'm good. So I'm taking off, and I'm going, and for some reason, Hayden went to go down low for baton. This isn't like a 4x1. They kind of just go like this, real low, but 4x4, we can kind of catch it on the side like this. So I'm expecting this. He goes low. Not my cup of tea. He goes low, and it like hits me, and I drop it. So I pick it up. I'm already out of breath because I've taken like 6 steps already. Hits me, and then I look up, and he's just gone. This Teotopolis guy is gone. And so I pick it up, and I look up, and I go to take a stride, and like these people are coming from both sides of me, and I'm getting like hit, getting beat up. It was unfair. I felt bullied. I filed a complaint. But they hit me, so I take off, and of course, I catch them all, duh. That's the moral of the story. No, I take off. I'm winded. Because when you get going and then you stop, then get going again, it's not fun. It's just not. I don't understand why people run in general. So I take off, and eventually I catch some, and I hand off to Joe, and Joe goes into beast mode, because that's all he ever did. It was ridiculous. He ran like a 52nd, 51. It was really fast. And he got us in second. So we got second place in the entire meet. But not that I was going to catch the guy in front of me by any means. Let's just make that clear. But we would have had a better opportunity if I would have had a better handoff. Yeah, there's miscommunication. But look, the drop baton, this might be a problem. And I know it's a problem of mine, so I'm not going to pinpoint you out. We need to stop looking at the drop baton. We need to start walking towards it. Because drop baton is not the end of the race. We got to stop just looking at it, because when we look at it, what happens? The blame game. Well, you should have went high. Well, why did you go low? And we could go back and forth. In life, there's always going to be the drop baton, but it's our job to stop looking at it and pick it up, because we have to continue the race. Now, some things that I necessarily haven't heard, I'm just going to throw out as an example. I'm not saying this from my heart. It's not how I feel. Maybe. But sometimes the blame game gets thrown. It's like, well, it's the youth minister's fault. All he does is have pizza parties, and all they do is play games upstairs and roll 5 below dice. Sometimes the blame game gets going, or sometimes it's the parents' fault. They're failing in their responsibility to be the spiritual leaders of the kids. Or other people would say, maybe it's the older church's fault. They are irrelevant and hypocritical to the point the younger generation wants nothing to do with them and the church. I got all these from online sources. Like, according to Gallup, it says anywhere between 40 or 60% of graduates who are involved in a youth group will fail to stick to their faith. Okay, there's books like this. It's called "You Lost Me: Why Young Christians Are Leaving Church and Rethinking Faith." There's all these bashes on youth because they're leaving the church. Sometimes we need to stop playing the blame game, looking at the drop baton, looking at our failures and the hardships, and start walking towards it and see how we can better ourselves from the drop baton. There's going to be bad handoffs. There's going to be drop batons in life. But especially with our own sin, if we're struggling with our own sin and we get embedded and we feel like we can't do anything else, we start rethinking who we are. I'm going to have this video clip. It's a great one. It's all right, actually. It's a video clip about someone who felt like they couldn't go on. Someone, they had a hard time struggling. And they struggled. And here it is.
Look down there.
That's not my father. It's just my reflection.
No. Look hard. You see, he lives in you.
Father?
Simba, you have forgotten me.
No. How could I?
You have forgotten who you are, and so forgotten me. Look inside yourself, Simba. You are more than what you have become. You must take your place in the circle of life.
How can I go back? I'm not who I used to be.
Remember who you are. You are my son, and the one true king. Remember who you are.
No! Please! Don't leave me!
Remember.
Father!
Remember.
Don't leave me.
Remember.
was that? The weather. Very peculiar, don't you think?
Yeah. Looks like the winds are changing.
Change is good.
Yeah, but it's not easy. I know what I have to do, but going back means I'll have to face my past. I've been running from it for so long. Ow! Jeez, what was that for?
It doesn't matter. It's in the past.
Yeah, but it still hurts.
Oh, yes, the past can hurt. But the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it. You see? So what are you going to do?
First, I'm gonna take your stick.
No, not a stick. Hey, where are you going?
I'm going back!
Good. Go on, get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys, you're supposed to come up. You missed that. It's okay. So Simba, he was struggling. He didn't know who he was, but there's great quotes in that. And it's like, listen, you can't forget who you are. We are children of the one true King, of God who came for us. But he also says it's like you can, my favorite part right there where they went like this, come here. Why'd you do that? Doesn't matter, it's in the past. You know? And then he's like, well, yeah, I'm Italian. It's in my blood. Not really, actually. Both. No. But the point is, and he said, yeah, well, the past still hurts. The baton still might be dropped, but yet we still have to keep moving forward. A couple quotes in there. You are more than who you've become. Past does hurt, but change is also not a terrible thing. So we have to remember what baton is. We have to have the right baton. We have to know that our space is limited, and we got to remember that the baton is not the end of the race. Just because a dropped baton is not the end of the race. Just because it drops doesn't mean it's over. We're done. No. We get the opportunity to stop looking at it and walk towards it to pick it up because we still have a race to continue.